It took a long time because I went through a lot of grief. I experienced a lot of grief because I, for a long time, was like mourning the life that I had intended for myself. I just remember getting to a point where I thought to myself, if this is as good as it gets, how do I make the most of it? And that was a huge shift in everything, because it allowed me to kind of focus on the positive and the things that I could control. I think that was one of the hardest parts, is like not having autonomy and not, and it's very humbling to have to rely on other people for help. My name is Meghan Bradshaw, and I am a patient advocate who is now working as government relations manager for Center for Lyme Action, which is a 501c4 nonprofit organization dedicated to increasing federal funding for Lyme and tick-borne diseases. So basically, I'm the Lyme lobbyist. Dizzy spells and brain fog, and then as I got older, I started experiencing joint pain, which started in my left knee, and then it migrated to basically every major joint in my body. Seeing, urologists, gastroenterologists, I was seeing OBGYN, sports medicine, orthopedics, trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And I was going to, some of the best medical institutions in our country. I was really lucky to have that access, but everyone kind of agreed there's something wrong, but we can't pinpoint what it is. That treatment and misdiagnosis really accelerated the progression of my disease. When I was 26, I had my first total joint replacement. It was both my hips at the same time. And the next day when I woke up from surgery, I had an email that confirmed that I had tick-borne diseases.
I saw Meghan for the first time all the way back in 2019, which is hard to believe, it was 6 years ago already. She came to me because she was having this fairly bizarre presentation of knee pain. If I already had a lot of different opinions on why her knee pain just wasn't getting better at that point, I believe she had been to the Cleveland Clinic and places like this, and just things weren't adding up. You could tell that from the instance, Meghan just wanted to get better, and the answers weren't allowing her to get better. So she was looking for anything that could help her get there.
Jeff ended up doing a great job advocating for me, and it's important to find providers who you have a good partnership with.
The best thing that we could do for Meghan was to try to give her motion back to her hips and obviously take away some of the pain. So mobility was a big part, and so we started with her hip replacements in 2019. She did extremely well from those, which is not an easy surgery to recover from all the time. She progressed on, so her knee arthritis, which was present back in 2019, it continued to increase in intensity, and so at that point in 2021, she underwent her knee replacement surgeries as well.
I first met Meghan a couple of years ago, and when she presented, she had the worst case of Lyme disease I've ever seen. I've never even heard of it in a textbook, having as many different joints affected as she did. She came to me really for her hands, and so when she came to me initially, her fingers had been all the way down almost into her palms, and it rendered it really to where she couldn't use either one of her hands. And what I ultimately chose to do was to go in and do what's called a fusion of several of the joints in her hands, was just to open them up just enough to where she could then grasp and release with her fingers.
Lyme disease is a tick-borne disease with, fever-type symptoms, muscle aches and headaches, and there's a specific type of rash. She was extremely limited with both range of motion and pain in both shoulders, both elbows, hands as well. We ended up deciding to do a reverse type shoulder replacement because her shoulders also had involvement of the rotator cuff.
I remember one of her questions to me was like, who would you go see? Who would do this? Who would do this? Which body part, right? And I think that was one of the beautiful parts is up until 2017, I had been working here at OrthoCarolina in all the specialties. Been able to make these connections. I had been able to establish these relationships because we have some of the best physicians in the world, and I truly believe that that's the case, and it's evident by their talent.
She has endured this like nobody I could ever imagine, going through all of these different surgeries to get her joints back to mobility. Instead of taking this as a negative, she's turned it into a positive by getting involved in Lyme disease advocacy, even at the national level, and trying to make sure that this doesn't happen to other people.
Say I have like a sixth sense now when I can really see pain in other people because I've lived a lot of it myself. I'm just glad that I had the resources that I've had to improve my condition, and And having that sense of gratitude is what I think really grounds me in my commitment to working towards a world in which healthcare is equitable and just, because every patient deserves the opportunity to improve their condition.